Thank you for the introduction. Short words about me. Welcome everybody back from the vacation time. Grüß euch from Austria. My name is Paul Kirschner and I work for ACP Cubido. I want to jump directly to the SharePoint. Have everybody seen such a library? You have different versions of the same file. Maybe it looks like that you have a folder like the archive, something like this, and in the archive files, everything is there. And I have a problem with the same file stored in multiple files on different locations. But what is my problem with this? It's not the problem. Maybe you think about the problem is with the space, what is used in the tenant. Because this is developer tenant, you see the storage is not the big problem. The problem is what we have duplicate content and what is the latest version. When I go to this library, what is the latest version of this file? Is this the file with no extension or is the file with final v1 the last version? I don't know it. And the same thing we have when we go to the SharePoint search. We get multiple files back. Who can say, the user, what is the last version of this file really? And the same we have when we ask Copilot. I ask Copilot, give me about Prince2 adoption, give me back. In this result, Copilot says we have 5 results. So great. I know maybe I have the final version, or maybe not. But when I change the question a little bit, then Copilot says, okay, I have only 1 document. So maybe the user gets the wrong information and I don't have the latest version. So the easiest way is, and there's an awesome button from the Microsoft to use it in this way, is select the versions and say delete. Yeah, here it is. Delete, and everything would be fine. Then no duplicate content is used, or use major draft versions, and so on and so on. You have multiple options to solve this problem. But the main problem are not the technical things, they are the people. They say, we always do this in this way, but maybe we need the old version to compare it with the new one, or deleting a document is not possible, I will lose all my hard work, and so on and so on. So we have no technical problem, we have a problem with people. They don't want to lose their documents. So I spoke a lot about them, and they said, okay, we make it, we move the old draft versions back in another storage. So let's move it to the blob storage. So it would be the schema. So the next thing is, yes, how to implement it. Yes, we make a ListView command in the SPFx. This makes a REST request to the Azure function and then stores the data into the blob. And to get a reference, we use Azure Table Store. Why I don't use a SQL server? Because the table store is there, so I don't need more deployment work. So, but now we have to look sorry, to the REST request. The easiest way is to use the file directly in the REST request. So the file will be sent directly to the Azure function. The problem is, in reality, the file has to be downloaded from SharePoint to your client and then pushed to the Azure function, and then the client, after successful, delete the file or move the file into the recycle bin. So this is not good when you think about a file can maybe have 100 megabytes. So the better thing is you say, okay, our client select something and say, this I want to move, and then you give a reference of the file to your Azure function. The Azure function make the download directly from the SharePoint and then delete it over the client. This is the concept. How do you get the data from SharePoint to your Azure function? Yeah, you need an app registration. I used here the SharePoint API. So I go to the Azure portal and say in my app registration, use it. And then there's a question, and this question is delegate permission or application permission. Application permission sounds good because you have site read write all or site selected, and you have complete permission to your entire SharePoint. But as you go to your admin will say, you have site read write all. Are you crazy? Because your application can read the complete SharePoint and has no limitation. So the admin will not be so happy to use this. So the easier way to work with your admin is to say, hey, my application works in the context of the user, in behalf of the user, and there we are talking about delegated permissions. And then we select all sites read and all sites write. It's also quite a lot of things you can do, but when the user don't have permission to the site, your application also don't have permissions to the site. And so delegate permissions, I would prefer when I have to talk with my administrator to install this app. So how does this look like? Every user gets an access token from Azure. And as soon you have the Azure access token, you send it to your API, and then we make a token exchange. So we use the user token for our Azure function and say we want to have a new scope, and this new scope we need a client ID, client secret. We use the user access token and say we request on behalf of. So we work as the user. So our application in this kind is the C# application. So what we have to do, and how does it look like in the app registration? You have your app registration, and you see you have here delegate and delegate to read and write, and you don't need an admin consent. And this is really great because to get sometimes admin consent when they are standing yes, it's really a painful job. So, and what we also need is to expose the API. Why we need it to expose? Because we have to say SharePoint that this is trusted. So, and from this side, we have to add it into our package JSON, only a short JSON. It's the resource name, the scope, and the application ID. And this was it, where we haven't to do. In the sample, you find a PowerShell script that creates. And as soon we have installed the application, you get in the SharePoint Admin Center API access. API access means what we have here written in our package JSON is listed here, and we have to approve it. In the screenshot, I have already done this. What is made behind the scenes? Behind the scenes, the approver add the permission to our SharePoint Online Web Client Extensibility app registration, and there we can see that we have this added as trusted. So now we have to use it. To use such an app registration, the fantastic thing is in SPFx, we have a context. And this context, we have an HTTP client that is working directly with our client. We have only to give them our ID, and the rest, the SPFx framework is made for us. And then we make an array of promises, and for each selected item, we make a request against our Azure function. And here is the promise all, and all requests will be done in one execution of JavaScript. So what we have done is that we have come from this one to this one. So it is only one. And I want to show it you in action. The thing, here's my browser, is you can select multiple things and say, move the blob. Yes, move it. Then hopefully my client is working, successful moved, and we see it's gone away. It's not in the archive. What I made is I move the items in the recycle bin also. Then we have it in the user context. And on the home screen, there's a little web part. And when it's working, the documents are here. So this is not a typical development work to say, hey, move it to another site or something. You have out-of-the-box material also. But the interesting thing is to talk with the people when they have, when they're afraid of losing data. You can say, okay, we move it to another location, and when you need it, you can download this documentation directly, immediately again. And this we have here in this web part. So I was talking quite a lot and with a lot of PowerPoints. Where can you find it? Hugo mentioned before that there is a sample library on GitHub, and there is the source where you can find the source. And I want to show you some structure things. Here is the Visual Studio Code. I have here my node runner. The node runner is SPFx solution. This is the awesome URL. With this awesome URL, I can work directly in SharePoint, and the SharePoint communicates with my local host. And here, there's the Azure function. So all we have done today, we see directly in our environment that all requests are coming here, that we call a list and so on, what is behind the scenes. To make it easy for you to use such a solution, there is create an app registration, because I know everybody hates to make an app registration. So there's a PowerShell. In this PowerShell, everything is included with the permission, with the scope, and so on. So it should be easy to use. And you find the README. And I hope Copilot made it right. I use Copilot for writing text because I'm not a native speaker, and for documentation. It works really great. And here is a step-by-step guide. Also, when you want to deploy it, you have an infrastructure folder. And yes, I can mainly work with Microsoft. So it's a bicep file. You have here with the complete parameters, so you can deploy it easily. So, and in the function ordner, you have the C# project. So as it is, what we have done, I hope the short introduction of the overview was right. And then I would say, back to you, Hugo. Thank you for the audience. Here's the URL. The pull request is open. Documentation. It's not my thing. This can be better, but from the code, it works.